Great Torah. Okay, I want to start off with an acknowledgement, which I knew about, but I hadn't much thought about. We talk about and we celebrate, and I'm going to stop doing it, the really lovely number of people who join Chevra Torah every week. And I'm basing that on the people I'm looking at right now. A very lovely woman came up to me last night, introduced herself, and said, oh, I so much enjoy Chevra Torah, but you've never seen my name because I only want to watch it on live stream. And so there is a community out there, a very happy community that joins us every Shabbat, and we just don't see them. But I just have to say, I'm pointing to my heart now, but you're live streaming, you may not hear that, that it's really great that you do that, and it's wonderful. And thank you, and we acknowledge your presence. And we hope someday you'll take off the cloak of invisibility and join us this way. But it's fabulous. So thank you for that. Secondly, to note that the W, which always indicates Hannah Gohl as being our support person for all things Zoom, actually is not Hannah Gohl. It's Don Levy. Don Levy is the capo de capo. He is the guy in charge of all audio, visual, Zoom, live stream, everything in that goes on at Wilshire. And Don can never get enough thanks, because during the intense 2-year period of COVID, it was Don and his team that grew the program that allowed everybody to stay in touch. So, and that doesn't happen automatically, and that wasn't done with, advanced degrees and years of preparation. It fell on Don and his team. They did a fabulous job. So, hi, Don, wherever you are, and thank you.
We're going to send him a thank you note. I'd like to send thank you note.
Yeah.
Okay.
At Wilshire Boulevard Temple.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, next, calendar. Friday, September 9th, as a part of the service event, Friday, September 9th is the annual meeting of the congregation. There are 2 reasons to attend. One is because you become part of the operation of the synagogue and you see what's going on, you meet the new officers, you hear a report. That's a good thing. But that's not really what's important. What's really important on September 9th is that there's an enhanced oneg. And so there's going to be a lot of good food. And that's what's important. But in any event, please join us Friday, September 9th, annual meeting of the congregation. I haven't seen Jim Ruxin here. Jim, are you here? Okay, we'll wait. See,
Rabbi, where's the meeting going to be? Is it going to be at the one on Barrington and Olympic?
It'll be in Irmis. It'll be at Irmis. And I really don't know all of the details except to know it's on September 9th. But if you do it virtually, you do not get the oneg. So there you go.
Yeah, you missed the oneg. Yeah.
Okay. Cindy, please help us. What's up? Very active.
Okay. Our gift honey for Rosh Hashanah sales ended on Thursday. So if you didn't order this year, you could do it next year. Our happy hour in person and our Frohman's Shabbat dinner are ongoing. The happy hour is monthly and Frohman's is every other month. So when we have the new date for Frohman's, we'll let you know. Susie's our chair for that. This Thursday, we're having a happy hour Zoom, which is an armchair adventure of Vienna. The email went out Wednesday night. Signups are on the Wilshire Weekly. The first 2 days, we already had 68 people sign up. So we're really happy. A lot of people are interested. Everybody is welcome. And it should just be a nice, fun tour guide of Vienna. It'll be Jewish history, but also some of the city sites. And then October 16th, we're having lunch in the Sukkah. It'll be at the Irmis campus. Stan's daughters are our wonderful featured speakers. And that email will probably go out mid-September to sign up for that lunch. And everybody's welcome to that.
I signed up.
Don't forget
Anna.
our meeting on Wednesday, Susie, Cindy.
Well,
Okay.
we don't invite everybody to that.
That's true. That's true. Sorry.
Okay, so here we go. Thank you for all of that. Sisterhood is booming, doing all kinds of great stuff, and that's wonderful. Please don't forget Monday, September 12th. Monday, September 12th, our Zoom conversation about theodicy. And whether you are in Europe, too fun, I don't know where you are. I can't keep track of where the hell you are. But it'll be 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30. That's probably not going to work for you at all. 5:30 p.m. Pacific, Monday, September 12th, 1 hour. It's going to be actually, I need the conversation. And I'm looking forward to having a chance to hear from you about your attitudes regarding God's justice, the role of God in a practical sense in our lives. Does the so-called universal, that is believing in God, have any significant impact in the lives that we lead? Or is it in fact an unnecessary universal as we go forward to build the future of Judaism? Monday, September 12th, God only knows where this thing is going to go. And it's going to be 1 hour. It's going to be tightly disciplined. That is to say, remember you're on Zoom and you will not be able to throw anything at me. That's really important.
That'll be posted, Rabbi,
I'm
on the
fragile.
board.
I'm fragile. Okay, then Saturday evening, September 17th, last announcement. Saturday evening, September 17th, 7 p.m. at Irmis. Slichot. It's already here. Slichot, the evening service of forgiveness, atonement, introspection, leading up to prior to Rosh Hashanah. Saturday evening, September 17th, 7 p.m. Slichot. So there's a lot going on. Did Jim join us? Not. Let's see, I'm looking here. I don't see Jim. Okay. So that's
Stan, there is no movie this week, and he hasn't announced the next movie yet, which will be on the 10th.
Thank you, Steve. I recognize that voice anywhere, and I welcome help. So this is great. It is stupendous to see all of you here. And while we're on this Zoom call, I'm getting fundraising emails from Pennsylvania and every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes, something's happening in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure what it is. Okay, we are, to make Effie happy, we are in Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 14 and following. Before we do that, let's just check in. I see, and I've said hello to Donna and Merle. Hi, Merle. Abby, it's great news about
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for all the prayers, because I'm doing great.
Good. That's
You
wonderful.
know how long it's been, Abby, since we've heard you say you're doing great?
Probably 3 years, because my back has been hurting
Really?
me. Yeah. And I've had other things too. So yeah, I think I'm coming to a new millennium or whatever.
Your
So
whole
I'm really happy. Yeah.
Your face, you're radiant, you weren't
Your
radiant.
family here is very, very happy.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't even, I would, yeah, thank
no,
you.
actually, it was the teaching. It wasn't you, but I hope no one out you. Okay, Arthur, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Doris, Susie. Hi, Susie. Effie. Hi. Steve. Okay. And Mona. Hi.
Holding up so I can.
Hi, Cindy. We've said hello to.
Hello from New York.
Oh, well, I'll get to you, Eric, but okay, happy.
Hello
Zach,
We
from
read,
Hartford.
we read from Isaiah in Central this morning about the constellations.
yeah, well, actually, we here in California have Hollywood. We have the stars. You can read about constellations.
Not the constellations, I mean consolations.
Oh,
Consolations.
That's different. Zach, I don't believe I have your email address, but I mean, if you don't want to share it with me, I'm hurt, but that's okay. If you have a chance, send me an email with your email address so I can, be in touch.
I put it in the chat last week to you, or the week before, but
No, we don't pick it up that way. If someone picks it up and sends it to me, I would be so grateful.
okay. All right.
Rebecca, hi, Shabbat Shalom, Larry. Always a pleasure, Larry. Hi, Carson, Shabbat Shalom, good morning. Pat, okay. Pat, Shabbat Shalom, hi. Barbara?
Yeah.
Minnesota is by far cooler than Los Angeles right now. That is definitely true. Diane, Shabbat Shalom, hi. Mara and Harv, saw you last night. Good to see you here. Hi. Okay, Tufan, where are you?
Shabbat Shalom, I'm still in Lugano, Switzerland.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Joseph, Shabbat Shalom. It's good to see you, Joseph Perley. Natalie, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Gary, we're in touch every once in a while, maybe twice a week. It's good. Good to be in touch. Tamara, Shabbat Shalom. Hi. Eric, I said hello to. Ray, Shabbat Shalom. What do we have here? Herman. Hi. Shabbat Shalom, Herman. Penina, Shabbat Shalom U'Barach. Baruch
Boker
haba.
Tov, Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Barbara Dishler, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Sukasa, good to see. I'm not going to report, Sukasa. You weren't in services last night. I just, not that the world has to know, but you weren't there. Okay. I mean, like that. Okay. Shabbat Shalom. Marina, Shabbat Shalom. Saw you. Good to see you. Risa, hi. Shabbat Shalom. You look very familiar. Who is Don? Karen Sarachik, Shabbat Shalom, Karen. Shabbat Shalom. Ian, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you. Didi, I didn't expect you on this morning, and I'm glad you're here.
Me too. I made it.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. I do pay attention, and that's fine. Okay, here we go. We are in one again. I can't keep saying it. One of the really interesting sedras, the sedra called Shoftim, and everyone who studies Torah knows when you get to this sedra. Karen Sarachik, what did it say? A note here. What did it say from Karen? Thanks for the greeting. Oh, okay. Hi. Okay, if someone would please send me Zach's email address, I would be very grateful. Okay, but Shoftim b'Shotrim, the whole commandment of set up judges and officers, and as I've said over and over again, all of Deuteronomy is a desire to structure a national organization, a political state divided in power between religious forces and secular political forces, and our Sedra filled with hi Howard. Our Sedra is filled with instructions as to how to go about doing this. So we go to verse 14, chapter 17, and I can find it here. And it says, if after you've entered the land that the eternal God has assigned to you and taken possession of it and settled it, if you decide, I will set a king over me, as do all the nations about me. It goes on. You shall be free to set a king over yourself, one chosen by the eternal your God. Be sure to set a king over yourself of one of your own people. You must not set a foreigner over you, one who is not your kin. major piece of legislation, major piece. The translation at the beginning, ki tavo, if after you've done it, it's translated if, and some of us are pushed to translate when, because there is a big debate in rabbinic literature over whether having a king is mitzvah, whether it's a legal requirement, a religious requirement, or whether it's a choice that people may make. Cindy, yes?
Is this Moses speaking?
Is this Moses? Yes, this is Moses.
Okay, since he's not entering the land, how does he name the king after they enter the land?
So he says, after you've entered the land which God has given you, and you say, I want a king, do it.
But it says, I will set a king over me.
No, it's if you enter the land, you decide, quote, I will set a king over me. So it's the people saying at that time, if you make that decision. And some of the rabbinic, did I make that, Cindy? Did that click?
I don't know. It sounds like it's Moses saying that, but we all know he's not going to enter the land.
Right. Moses is not saying that, he's hypothesizing what the people will say.
Okay.
And saying, I'll set a king, go ahead, do it. The big question is whether having a king is mitzvah or it's a choice that people make. How do you separate? Well, let's go back. Let's ask really tough questions. Before there were kings in Israel, who ran the secular part of Israelite life? Who did?
Chiefs.
I'll give you a hint.
The priests.
Pardon?
The priests.
The priests would not be in charge of the secular life. They were in charge of the religious life. Those of you who were are practicing attorneys often practice before a
Trial. Judge.
Right. So the answer is the judges. The judges were the first group of people who arose after the time of Joshua to be the secular leaders of the people. There were Leviim, Kohanim, there were the priesthood of one way or the other. Can you name a judge?
Deborah,
a judge. Penina?
The last one, I would say Samson, who was a disaster.
Yeah, Samson the disaster. Thank you. Okay. Samson, judge. Deborah, judge. There were a bunch of judges and a very important period. How did a judge become a secular leader? Charisma and response to an occasion. Without going into it, at a time of military threat, the people sort of solidified behind a single person. That person was called a judge, and that person was the secular head of the people. Beyond having judges as the secular head of people, and the priests as being religious heads of the people, there was another little interstitial group that operated, kind of famous, but they were a little bit political and a little bit religious. Who were these? Penina?
The prophets.
I'm sorry?
The prophets?
Yes, indeed. The prophets. Yes, indeed. So the prophets, could say they spent a lot of time talking to God. That's got to be religious, but they also were very much involved in criticizing, critiquing the civil political arrangements. We're not going to go there. Fine. At a certain point, Moses said, the people are going to come before you, the leaders of the day, and say, we want a king. Now, let's do another little check. And I have the fan on him here, and it's really delightful. The fan keeps closing off my pages, which is, I'm really happy about that. there is a quote here in verse 14 and following. And that quote is, I want you to set a king, as do all the nations about me. Now, I am going to ask a very esoteric question. I specialize in that. This actually is almost a quote from what happens later on. Who was it who said to whom, you know what? I want you, individual, to find and set a king over us collectively. Okay, I see. Sukasa.
Was it Samuel?
I hate it when the right answer comes up quickly. Can't we struggle over this a little bit? Yes. Yes.
It was so good.
Okay, so Samuel was a religious political leader of a sort, right? And the people came and they said almost the exact words. We want a king like all the nations around us. Now, those of us who have a small degree of curiosity would wonder which came first. The writing in Deuteronomy that said, a time will come when the people will come to you and say, set us a king. We want to have a king like all the other peoples of kings. Or did the people come before Samuel and say, give us a king. We want to have a king just like all the other peoples have kings. And eventually that gets retroactively written into Deuteronomy. And I'm not going to talk about that because I don't have a clue as to what the actual answer is, but there's an interplay here. There's an event technically in history, and then there's a prediction that it's going to happen. Which came first? With atypical humility, I will say, I don't know. Let me just check one thing. Samuel was asked to set a king, right? To whom did he turn? Who was the first?
Saul.
Oh,
That is correct. Saul, not shorthand for Solomon. He comes later. Saul, Saul. Okay, and let's get this good. Saul had a son. His name was?
David.
Nope.
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Yeah, you are really rocking today. You are rocking. And Jonathan's very closest friend was
David.
And eventually Saul displeases God. Remember, do you read this here? That king has to please God. Saul displeases God. Now David becomes the king ongoing until the days of the Messiah or whatever. Okay? What's the difference between a judge and a king? Got a judge. Deborah organizes the people, fights the battle, kills the enemy, does all kinds of good stuff, sits under a tree, judges the people. Great, like a great backstory. What's the difference between a judge and a king? Judge and a king.
May I say?
Please use the electronic hands, because thank God we have so many people. I love this. Okay. Oh, okay. So to let this in. Okay. Okay. I see Penina. Penina.
The king led them in the wars. He was also the general. While the judges didn't do that. I mean, the prophets didn't do that. The judges didn't do that.
Okay.
I mean, the judges did do that. Sorry. The judges did lead them into wars, like Samson and all of them. Deborah. Yeah. But not the prophets.
Not to say Samson the terrible.
Yeah. They all also led them into wars, including the king, but not the prophets.
Right. Herman, what else can you tell me about the difference between a prophet and a king?
I had my hand up for something else though, Rabbi.
Oh, okay. Herman, you know my memory. Come back to me quickly when we try to finish answering this question first. I have 3 participants raising hands, and I'm not seeing, why isn't it? I am not seeing it on the screen. Okay. I don't see any. Oh, that's distressing. I don't know what's going on. Are you pressing your electronic hands?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I just don't see it on my screen. I'm sorry. So wave at me and I'll find somebody. Okay. Who were the people who had their hands up? Nobody? Okay.
Donna.
Okay.
Merle had her hand
Arthur.
up.
Penina, please.
No, Donna is trying to tell you something.
Okay, tomorrow.
Donna and Meryl.
Donna and Meryl. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I
Thank
don't
you,
have
Rabbi.
any electronic hands.
I
Okay.
think the difference between a prophet and a king is anointed by God through a prophet, like David. Who's anointed by God.
Okay, that is definitely true. One more, Meryl.
I think that the purpose of the king is to like run the country, run, this government position, which is where wars come in, I think. And the judges are to carry out all the rules and take care of the people individually.
Yes.
I'm guessing, but that's kind of where it's coming from.
Okay, I think that if we simply say hereditary, we've said a lot.
Yeah.
The kinglets, the offspring of the king will then eventually kill each other in the battle to become a successor. So the monarchy is hereditary, and that's one of the things that the people wanted. Moses, the time will come, we're going to want a king. We want the stability of political succession. Penina.
There was also more than one judge at the time in different parts of the country.
That could absolutely happen. And that did not happen, hopefully not with a king.
Exactly.
Okay. It is Ramban Nachmanides who says, having a king is a mitzvah. Rambam liked kings. What were the problems that kings could bring to the people? Why was there a kind of reluctance? Sukasa?
Well, they could be bad leaders, and they were absolute leaders. So that could be a problem for the people.
Absolutely. Yes. What do kings need to do, like to do? And even presidents today have the same problem. How do they support their kingdom?
People pay for people.
Taxes, right?
Yeah.
And it happens that in the old days, people didn't like to pay taxes. Obviously, we've grown more sophisticated. We love to pay taxes, but in those days, they didn't. And the king was always identified with taxes. The king also, here is a problem. The king will exercise and create contracts, relationships, treaties, covenants with local other kings.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And for example, how did King Solomon get the wood to build his temple?
Queen of Sheba?
Went to Home Depot. It's
Queen of Sheba.
okay. Where did Solomon? Israel in those days had jungles. It did. It was a heavily afforested land, but not enough to provide the necessary cedars. I'm hinting cedars.
Cedars of Lebanon.
He married the daughter of Cedars of Lebanon.
Okay,
Rabbi,
put your hand up, Panita. Go ahead, you get to call it.
You talked about taxes.
Wait 1 second, Panita.
Lebanon.
Okay.
He married the daughters of all those kings to have peace with them, and business was good. So
Okay.
they
So
get
first
the way
of all,
it's done.
cedars
That's
of
the way it's
Lebanon.
done.
so one of the ways to create treaties with other people is to have the family of one king marry into the family of the other king. And you have to know that there were limits about how many wives a king, according to Jewish text, was allowed to have. And this may make the job less attractive. The number was 18. So you're not
Oh my
allowed.
God.
I will not enter into any joke that comes to my mind at this point. But so Solomon had an arrangement with the king, the rulers of Lebanon, and as part of the exchange, marries a princess, one of his wives from Lebanon, and we built the temple with cedars of Lebanon. That's how it happens. There's another wonderful example of the power of a king, in this case, a queen. To remember Elijah. Remember Elijah? Elijah. Okay, Eliyahu. Come on, you want me to sing? Elijah. Okay, now, Elijah had a battle going with the queen of Israel. Her name in English is Island of Garbage.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
That's her name. They called her Island for short.
Oy vey.
What was her name?
Jezebel.
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 Yes, Jezebel in Hebrew, an island, Zebel. Okay,
She
so
got eaten up by wild dogs, didn't she, Rabbi?
imagine a kid naming, I'm going to have my daughter named Island of Garbage. Okay,
Oh my
now,
God.
Jezebel brought with her not only relationships with her family's kingdom, she also brought their gods. So there's a whole problem with having kings. And this is going to go on all through both kingdoms. You have to know that during the second kingdom, the second temple period, when you have the Hasmonean Monarchy, it was a disaster. It was a disaster. First, all the next generations of the Hasmonean family tried to kill each other, and then they became associated with Rome, and they sold the Jewish state down the river to maintain their own power. So there's a history here of having a difficult king. Thank God we live at a time when political leaders would not endanger their own country. And I think that shows how we have moved into a better time. Now, what's the Hebrew word for a king?
Melech.
Melech. How do we refer to God in our prayers using the term Melech? How do we refer to God?
Melech
Melech
HaMelech.
Melech Malchei HaOlam. This was done intentionally, two reasons. One, to set God above the kings of Israel, Judah. Okay? There's a second reason. The Persian king was called the Shah, the king of kings. So we called God Melech Malchei Hamlachim, the king who is even king of the king of kings.
I love it.
Okay? I mean, just a little tidbit which I hope you'll forget quickly. Most of Deuteronomy is seen as a setup for the secular power of the king and the religious power of the priesthood. I was working hard last night, coming up with questions that will absolutely be related to nothing. After the second temple was destroyed, there were no more Jewish kings, right? I'm leading you like a spider and a fly. Who was the secular leader of the Jewish people from the 3rd century CE to the 11th century CE? There was a secular leader of the people in Palestine, in what today we call Israel. Who was that person?
Sanhedrin.
Pardon?
That's not a
Sanhedrin.
person.
Sanhedrin is a group. Won't work. Nice. Beep. Thank you. Penina? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I think it is Ezra and Nehemiah, wasn't there? No?
Nehemiah certainly had power. First of all, they're hundreds of years before this.
Oh, okay.
3rd century, our era, to the 11th.
King Solomon?
I happen to know the answer, and I need to show off to tell you. The term is exilarch, E-X-I-L-A-R-C-H. In Aramaic, Resh Galuta. Resh meaning Rosh, the head, Galuta, Aramaic, Galut, the Hebrew, the dispersion of the Jewish people. The Resh Galuta, the exilarch. There was a descendant, supposedly, of the family of David, who exercised political control in some ways over the world Jewish community from the 3rd century all the way up to the 11th century.
Wow.
We don't think about that. Now, the exilarch was not an absolute monarch, was not like the Pope, who really, whatever, had such power. But this individual, 2 things, claimed descent from David and was a unifying political secular voice. Okay, Penina, question, Shayla.
Are you referring to Mordechai and Esther? Because
No,
apparently they were
that's
from the house of David.
That's way before. That's 700 years before.
Got it. Okay.
Rabbi, Steve and Abby had their hands up for a long, long time.
I'm sorry. Who was it, Tamara?
Steve and Abby.
Steve and Abby and Rebecca. Okay, Steve, then Abby, then Rebecca.
This goes back to your taxes. At some point, there was tithing, which I assumed went to the priests. Did people not complain about that? And were their taxes levied over and above that?
Over and above. Over and above. Steve, if you remember, after the death of Solomon, that came the time when the kingdom split. One of the sons of Solomon said, "You objected to my father's taxes. My relationship, the dad's relationship to the way I'm going to tax you is like the relationship of a little finger to a whole hand." That's a pretty clear statement, Steve. He was pro-tax and the people rejected him. And over that, the kingdom split. So we have that, okay? So yes, it's separate. Now, I remember, Herman, you failed to remind me. Herman Barnathan, you had a question. I want to honor that. I forgot about you.
If you want, if we go back to the original reading that you assigned to us, God says, you want a king? Fine, make a king. All throughout Torah, God sets the rules and laws. All of a sudden, we have a king, and God doesn't give the king any power. Why not?
You're asking a very serious, very important question. The answer would follow in this path. God had to communicate with the people through the words of the prophets and through the Urim and Tumim, these dice that the high priest kept in the high priest's breastplate. You can't govern a nation that way. Ultimately, having God as the ruler doesn't work. Doesn't work in a practical sense. There was a need for a secular ruler. And remember that the Torah is written to reflect situations, not to predict situations. Therefore, there was a need. Ultimately, God needs a human representative on earth to exercise the divine will and to be king. Like, what is the Pope called? God's vicar? The vicar of Christ. God's representative. It was necessary. Okay, I want to go on. I have, no, wait. I was supposed
Abby didn't get to ask her question.
Who was it?
Abby.
Abby, yes, and then Rebecca.
Okay, well, I was thinking it was Jehoaban or something. That was he the king?
Yes.
You asked who the king was?
Rehoboam, yes, it was at that time. And Jeroboam was my favorite king of all.
Yeah, Jeroboam, yeah, that guy, yeah.
Because they ended up naming a very large bottle of champagne as a Jeroboam. I don't exactly know how that happened, but if you walk into a liquor store and say, I want to buy a Jeroboam of champagne, they're going to treat you like a king. Okay. Someone will have to tell me how Jeroboam came to be a large bottle of wine. Okay, Rebecca.
So I'm confused on the history part. The word that you used, elexector, ex-elector.
The word that I used
was ex-elector.
Exilarch, EXILARCH.
Okay, do those people come into power, so to speak, after the fall of the Israelites in Judah, after the exile?
You're in good shape, Rebecca. The exilarch begins to function after the destruction of the Second Temple and of the kingdom, the so-called Second Commonwealth. Yes, and if you take the word exilarch, you can hear the word exile. Exile, Reish Galuta, head of the exile, exilarch, same word.
Thank you.
And didn't have a palace, didn't reign the way kings reigned, but was the representative of the Jewish people on the international stage. Okay, that's there. Did I miss anyone? I want to move on. Did I miss anyone?
I have one quick question, Rabbi. I have my hand up.
Okay.
About kings and queens, do you think in this modern era that there's a big possibility that a woman could rule Israel like Golda Meir?
Well, Golda Meir was certainly not a king. And no. David Ben-Gurion was kind enough to say that she was the best man in his cabinet.
Yes.
If anyone would have said that today, they would have been, blown up.
And Sue Casa had her hand up.
Okay, Sue?
No, I changed my mind. Thank you. Thank you, Risa.
This is good stuff. You're looking at material in the Torah. If you come into the land and you decide you want a king, we know that the language used in fact reflects an actual situation. No foreigner. No foreigner. Why do you think that was put in there?
Idol worship.
I think that's a piece of it. That's certainly a good piece of it. And bringing in a major part, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with this, so be it. A major part of the Torah is to create separation. Separation is one of the key operative terms in all of Jewish life, whether it's Havdalah tonight, separation, milk and meat, separation, holy, impure, separation, okay? Separation is everywhere. And I think Jewish leaders from the beginning of time have understood that a minority people cannot survive without boundaries. The problem is what those boundaries should be, could be, ought to be. That's a huge debate, but boundaries are important. Today we have different discussion. Today we have increasing numbers of people who are attracted to Judaism and who choose to call themselves Jews. I have to tell you, in the, back rooms of a lot of taverns, rabbis gather to try to figure out, how do we deal with this? Again, the issue of separation. Do we require a formal conversion? With some of these people, they say, we're Jewish. We go to shul, we go to this, we go to that, we live, we do. How do you bridge the separation gap? It's not going to be something we'll answer now, but it is a positive thing because Judaism is growing through conversion, but it's also growing through adherence. Would that be a word? Adherence, people identifying with the Jewish people. Merle.
I think the formal conversion is to create a covenant of sorts.
Well,
you're not just there, you're making a statement that you want to be more than just there, more than just a participant.
But I'm really not going to go there because it is another one of those things that you could devote a weekend to. It is really complicated. It is really complicated. We have Jews absolutely do nothing, say nothing, feel nothing, associate with nobody, appear nowhere. And if they want to get married by an Orthodox rabbi, they're Jewish. Okay? How does that compare with somebody who feels Jewish, acts as Jewish, lives as Jewish, does as Jewish, but isn't converted formally? And I'm not going to go there today. I'm just saying, in the back room of a lot of taverns, it's a serious question. It's a worthy question. But
Marina Scheinberg has her hand up for a while.
I'm sorry?
Marina Scheinberg has her hand up.
Thank you. I don't know why. I have no electronic hands flashing.
If you hit participants, you'll get the list and it always shows the hands.
I see that. Steve and Marina. Okay.
Exactly.
Marina,
I have a very
Okay.
quick question. When it says in the land, kings in the land, is that an acknowledgement that when you are outside the land, you may have another secular authority that you should actually obey?
Actually, Steve, what this is a hidden, subtle message that people should listen to their rabbis. That didn't go over big. Okay.
I loved it.
You're right, Steve. Good catch. You're right. Good point. Yes, it is saying in the land. and that other kinds of secular authorities are in fact appropriate. I'm not going to go there. In the history of Poland, for example, Poland and that area, if you will, Ukraine of today, there was the Vad Arbatzot, the Council of Four Nations. There was a big secular governing structure in the late Middle Ages of Jewish communities, not a king. But you're right, good point, good catch. Marina.
Thank you, Rabbi. I think the statement, you must not set a foreigner over you, one who is not your kinsman, is related to property rights, because in the previous chapters, there was a lot of talk about property, the land being attributed to certain clans, to certain tribes, and who inherits what, and how a woman can inherit if there is no man, to keep in her kin, to keep in her tribe. So the king should also have property within their kin and be one of ours.
Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, what an extraordinary group of people have gathered around this study? Marina, that's a great point again. You're yes, absolutely correct. Good collection, good insight, and I agree with you. That certainly is one feature of why a foreign king would be very problematic. But that's one feature of that. Thank you for that. I remember being in Israel. The similarities between US politics and Israeli politics can be somewhat scary. The once and maybe foreign ruler, once and future ruler of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu, was referred to as Bibi Melech Yisrael.
Oh, wow.
He was called Bibi, King of Israel. A lot of us, Tufan, your child is getting too big, too fast. I am aging week after week, but okay, I accept that.
Dan, you have 4 hands up.
I am having a very hard time here today. 4 hands up. I'm looking for in the okay. Tell me, Risa, who are the hands?
Eric, Effie, Larry, Abby.
Eric, Effie,
Larry, Weiss, and Abby.
Eric first. Thank you.
Hi, how you doing? I recognize you from the Constitution. The president should be a native born person, you know, not a foreign person, a recent immigrant. You have to be a full-fledged born in the United States to be and a citizen to be president. Ain't that something?
Eric, Major. Good. Yes. Yes. Okay, next comes
Effie.
Effie.
Yes, I want to tell you that Asher had his hand up several times, so I think he wants to say something.
Okay. Okay, we'll put Asher on the list. Thank you. The next is Abby.
Okay, I was looking for something before because you had said that God had anointed all the kings, and I knew that one that is not true because the priest Zadok anointed Solomon.
The priest anoint. God does not anoint. God does not anoint. But let's.
But that was strange. That's what I was. It's just odd because
the anointing is done by the priest, not by God. The priest is God's agent. But if you're going to be good this way, tell me what the Hebrew word is for anointing someone who is an anointed king. What's the Hebrew word?
I don't know Hebrew.
Oh, yes, you do. Everyone knows this. It's like, how do you say hello in Hebrew? I don't speak
What?
Hebrew.
Shalom.
What?
I know shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Penina.
Mashiach.
Mashiach, Messiah. Mashiach means the anointed one. Mashiach, the original sense of the term Messiah, is the appointed one, the anointed one. And yes, it is the priest who does the anointing. Risa, who is next?
Larry Weiss.
Larry, yes,
But
Larry.
I was going to say something similar to what Eric said about the U.S. president. It's a presumption or a concern that a foreigner will have divided loyalties that could be damaging to the nation.
That's a dangerous problem. Yes, yes, a dangerous problem. You know that the United States has been blessed with a number of political leaders, not presidents, who were not native born, and opponents always manage to find a reason to throw at them divided loyalty. Oh, you're not really one of us, you're one of them. Henry Kissinger, your accent is not Boston, it's Europe.
Right.
So you're clearly, really not one of us. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And it's not entirely clear that an immigrant has divided loyalties. They may be fiercely, fiercely loyal to their adopted country, but that's the presumption we make.
What's the guy's name? The two brothers who ran afoul of the president with regard to the Ukraine? What's
Vindman brothers.
Windman.
And they were foreign-born, passionate American citizens.
Right.
Yes. Okay. Whom have I missed now?
Kolbesetter.
Pardon?
Kolbesetter.
Kolbesetter is not a person. Oh,
Right. Exactly.
okay. Thank you. Okay. This has been.
Asher, you were going to call on.
Pardon?
Asher.
Asher. Yes. Thank you. Asher. Arthur Ashur. Please.
Yes. Hello. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
One of the reasons that the United States president had to be born American is from Torah. I just wanted to mention this, that this clause or this amendment has been added later on. This is very important to know that many of our issues or titles that are in Constitution has derived from Torah.
Answer yes. Arthur, thank you. Yes, absolutely true. And what Benjamin Franklin wanted the emblem, whatever, of the United States to be crossing of the Red Sea and freedom and all that. The influence of the Torah on the Constitution and on the structure of America, clearly there. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the breakdown of the popping up of the electric hands, but you are fantastic. It's
right back at you.
I just feel so bad because tomorrow, where's tomorrow? Did I lose tomorrow? Tomorrow I had a part in my notes coming up next dealing with elephantine. And I was going to turn to you. It's right here. And we didn't have time.
Next year.
The great scholars of the elephantine Jewish settlement in Egypt, where Jews, soldiers, went down to form a garrison in Egypt in what looks like a contravention of this week's Torah portion. It's not. But we don't have time for that. Okay.
Wow.
So again, to mention, annual meeting September 9th, September 12th, our Zoom conversation, September 17th, Slichot, and all of the great programs that Cindy announced. We're going to do Kaddish now, and you are unbelievable. Thank you. We're going to do Kaddish now. Those who have passed away during the past month: Herma Alkor, Harvey's Daniel Poor, Moshe Ben Eliyahu, Vet Fisher, Theodore Johnson, Ellen Coleman, Shirley Cotton, Pearl Loderman, Bobby Pearson, Wen Hui Fan. And the yahrzeits of those whose anniversaries of whose deaths are being observed at this time: Marjorie Ansel, George Ansel, Ida Applebaum, Ephraim, Ibrahim Arigi, Arita Tapper, Valiot, June Blumkin, Arthur Bogia, Linda Braham, Sanford Branch, Joel Brooks, Mildred Chains, Ellen Cohen, Milton Cole, Sid Coleman, Douglas Delaney, Ida Deschelle, Ruth Eben, Michael Eisner, Shelley Allenson, Bart Feldmar, Robert Friedman, Edna Frayling, Hyman Gartzman, Harold Gelman, Barry Gold, Zev Goldfarb, Harry Goldstein, Edward Goldstein, Bella Gomberg, Sophie Greenberg, Richard Herlick, Ronald Hirschhorn, Sidney Ermis, Sybil Israel, Dale Cass, Bella Kaufman, Minnie Kay, Patty Kelrick, Margot Heyman Lansing, Beatrice Lawrence, Edith Levison, Isidore Lieberman, Nan McGuffin, Rose Markowitz, Michael Met, Ida Mayerson, Mel Michaels, Sarah Miller, Faye Nieberg, Mark Narotsky, Monora Poleski, Ronald Rubin, Davida Rishaw, Lisa Rosen, Robert Rosenblum, Jane Rothschild Mayer, William Chilson Rothstein, Zelda Rubin, Philip Ruvelson, Ethel Ruvelson, Rose Beline Saperstein, Gloria Shaw, Albert Schildkraut, Sam Schwartz, Yuli Shaneberg, Anna Spilsky, Erwin Siegel, Saul Soller, Florence Solomon, Bobby Solomon, Scott Elliott, Schreiberg, David Steiner, Hyman Cannon, Bennett Wolf, Ida Zivitz. Now, if there are other names to be mentioned, or if I have mispronounced a name, please speak their names aloud now.
Patty Hecht.
By the way, she just left the room, and I can say it now. I'm also thrilled that my granddaughter Maya was sitting out of camera next to me and attending the class. She didn't want to be visible or known to you. So she's now no longer here. So yesterday was her 20th birthday. Wow.
Oh, happy birthday, darling.
Happy birthday.
I hope she didn't hear
Many
it.
more.
So because
Tell her we want to see her.
no, she doesn't want that.
She doesn't want that.
Okay, we join together in Kaddish. Yitgadal, Shadash, Shemei Rabbah, Bialma Divra Kirite, Biamlich Malchite, B'chayechon Uvyomechon, U'v'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala Vizman Kariv Vimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mubarak. Li'alam Le'almei Amaya. Yitbarach. Yitbarach. Be it Pa'ar. Be it Ramah. Be it Naseh. Be it Adar. Be it Aleh. Be it Halal. Shemei Kudisha. Le'ela Min Kol Birchata. B'shirata. B'nechamata. Da'amiran Yalma. Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba bin Shemaya. Machayim. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen. Oseh. Shalom v'romav.
Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amen.
God who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth, and let us say,
Amen.
Amen.
thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merle, I
Thank you
hope you're all
so
right,
much.
darling. We love you, Merle.
We're
Oh,
good,
thank you.
guys. We're good, right?
Right.
We're all good.
Happy weekend, everyone.
Shabbat
Have a
Happy
good
weekend,
weekend.
everyone.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Happy Grandpa.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Bye.
Shabbat shalom.
Good luck, Donna, on Wednesday.
No, thank you so much. God
Good
bless you. That would be so blessing for my grandchildren. It'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom,
shalom.
everyone.
Thank you.
Shalom. Love you all so much.
Weekend.
Shalom.
Bye.
Before I
Don't want to say goodbye, but we have to say goodbye.